What is going on, Off Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about the completion of Conor Murphy's 40-day fast. It was interesting, many times very boring, but it did give us light. And actually what I cared about more were the moments where he made his videos where he was talking about the entire process and what was going on and his updates. But I do appreciate the live video content because it archived and showed every single day that he was doing this 40-day fast, basically because of all the skepticism that most people have about him actually completing this task. Now let's go ahead and break it down in this video. Stay tuned. Alright guys, quickly before we start, this video is brought to you by yours truly, Fledge Fitness and the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. With an ergonomic design, aluminum handle, and swivel design, you can't go wrong with the Fledge Fitness Jump Rope. Only $16.50. You can click on the top right hand corner of this video or down in the description box below. And of course guys, as always, thank you for your support. Let's go ahead and jump right into the video. He lost a massive amount of weight. Now, I want to be very clear here. Before I even start the video, I'm going to break down certain elements of what happened throughout his 40-day fast, but I want to be very clear. Weight loss inherently does not equate to health. You can lose weight and still do things in an unhealthy way. You can still be unhealthy while losing weight. Please disconnect that thought that when you lose weight, it just automatically carpet bombs everything into health. It does not. There are certain elements that are healthy when you reduce adipose tissue. There are elements of health with losing weight, but it does not necessarily mean that you inherently are healthy because you just lost weight. I hope that that doesn't confuse you, and I hope that this video does not encourage you to try this 40-day fast for this massive amount of weight that he lost. Number one, let's talk about the weight loss, of course, because that's on top of the mind, and then we're going to talk about possible risks that he may be facing right now at this moment. Number one, he lost an immense amount of weight. He went from 199, and I believe, because I saw the live feed on the last day, I would drop in every once in a while, but I definitely dropped in for day one, and I definitely dropped in for the final day. It showed that his current weight was 138. Which would indicate that he lost over 60 pounds in the course of 40 days, which would be roughly about 12 pounds per week. So he lost 12 pounds per week consistently. Now, I want to make sure that everyone understands this doesn't necessarily mean that this was just body fat. Yes, a vast amount of it was body fat, but he also depleted all of his glycogen stores. He also dropped a lot of water weight. The moment he starts to eat again, his weight will go up very quickly. He's going to gain 5, 6, 7 pounds very fast because of the replenishing of glycogen and because of the replenishing of water weight. Especially after you do a long fast, your body definitely tries to hold on to those things when you start refeeding. Now, I do want to mention that I use scientific evidence and research to conclude that he would be in this exact position by the end of the 40 days. Other gurus out there that like to claim that they use science and not bro science said that he wouldn't make it past 7 days, that he would actually pass away in 7 days from not eating but drinking water. They were 100% wrong. He made it all the way to the 40 days while live streaming the entire process. Of course, those gurus are going to try to say they think he's cheating because it undermines their bro science logic that they just spewed out there without looking at any of the research. In fact, Kevin D. Hall, one of the leading experts in the National Institute of Health, created this chart based on research of people that were doing prolonged fasting, and they show the metabolic switchover. Fat oxidation increases as the beta hydroxybutyrate starts to deploy because now the liver is converting the fatty acids into ketones, and that is providing energy to the brain. You'll also notice that muscle and protein use does not upregulate, it actually goes down. So the body is actually going through a muscle preservation system where it's actually trying to protect as much muscle as possible. But unfortunately, the brain still needs 30% glucose, which will cause the body to activate gluconeogenesis, and that mainly comes from the breakdown of amino acids, which would require some muscle tissue. But the main source for energy is a massive increase in fat oxidation. And that's exactly what I said in the first week of him starting this process. So mark my words, at the end of this, he will look very, very lean with some musculature still on him. He will still hold on to some muscle. He will be very, very lean. However, he will be reducing muscle tissue because there's no replenishing of the muscle tissue. Now, certain things that I want to talk about. He did do questions answered and stuff like that. I only cared about it when he was referencing what was going on with his body and how he felt. He felt low energy, very low energy. Couldn't really do squats. He had to take squats out of the picture. He was only really doing like push-ups and things like that, but he took squats out of the picture because he was too fatigued. This is the body literally sending hormonal signals that it does not want you to expend energy. It's trying to conserve as much energy as possible because you are not bringing in any energy to replenish the energy that is being lost. So because of this, the body's actually working to make him not expend energy at all. It works in tandem with your metabolic rate decreasing. All of this as a coordinated effort to hold on to as much energy as possible. Force your energy to reduce, to do less things around the house and create less energy expenditure while also reducing your metabolic rate to basically preserve as much energy as possible. He did also state that he had less fat on him before, and when he showed his body and grabbed onto his skin, I can clearly see in that instance, which was expected because of the rapid weight loss, that he would have extra skin. So now his skin elasticity is much greater. So it may feel to him that he is grabbing on to more skin because the skin itself is extra and it's bunching up into his hand. He actually might think that he has more body fat on him than he actually really truly does. This is because of the extra skin. This happens if you lose weight very, very fast. You don't have to be 400 pounds and then lose weight to have extra skin. If you're relatively small and then lose a lot of weight, you're still gonna have extra skin because the adipose tissue and the body fat is not pushing out, and you lost it so quickly that the skin itself did not adapt to that reduction. Basically, it was too fast for the skin to retract. He's grabbing onto a lot of extra skin. He held onto a lot of muscle, as I said, but now we walk into the danger zone of the entire process. The reason why I said that he was more than likely going to be okay is because you can fast and have water for a very long period of time. But the danger does not lie in that process of not eating. The danger truly lies in the process of refeeding. This is called refeeding syndrome. Now, the NIH from UK actually created guidelines for how to refeed so that you can protect yourself. And I did mention this in the other video, but I want to mention it here again so that you're aware, because I want to deter you actually from trying to do a prolonged fasting of this magnitude. He has to go back to 50% intake, energy intake of what's required. So he cannot gorge now on anything. He has to make sure that if his body requires 2,000 calories, he's starting to eat within a 1,000 calorie range, not a 2,000 calorie range. This is very important because if he's intaking too much food, the metabolic fluid fluctuation can be fatal. So he has to be very careful here. He also has to make sure that he's immediately consuming things like vitamin, electrolytes. He needs magnesium, potassium, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, all of the vitamins that his body needs. He needs to start intaking those things as quickly as possible. And I know that today is Sunday and he should have ended already, but I did mention that in the previous video, and I hope that he watched that video or that he's aware of those things if he didn't watch that video. He said that he was under medical supervision, so under no circumstances do I recommend something like this without being under medical supervision. But one good thing that he showed is that your body is incredibly resourceful. Many people are so hyperbolic when it comes to fasting, where they think that you're starving yourself from doing intermittent fasting. Like, that's how hyperbolic people are in the fitness industry. Oh, you're not eating for 16 hours. You know that you're starving yourself. You're not even close. This man barely had much body fat on him and still was able to not eat for 40 days, which just shows how much intermittent fasting is not that big of a deal in terms of starvation or you're gonna pass out because you're not eating. It's not even close. It's nowhere close. So I do want to mention that, but I hope that he does take the advice that is given, and that the medical supervision that he's having, that they're doing with him is helping him in this refeeding part, because this is the critical part for him. This is the part that can be very, very, very dangerous, especially since he has not eaten for 40 days. That is a long amount of time for not eating. And because, of course, he's at such a low body fat percentage, even to start with, he wasn't overweight, he wasn't obese. So that is an element that he has to be very careful. If he starts eating and his blood sugar levels are high, that is very, very dangerous. He needs to be very careful in this part. This is the part really that I'm worried for him. The fasting part, I felt that he was going to be okay because of the science, but this part is where I'm very, very worried. He has to be very diligent. In these processes of getting the calcium, getting the vitamins, all of this has to last for at least around 10 days before he can, and even eating at the 50% energy requirement, it has to last for a good amount of time, almost 2 weeks, so that he can start balancing the body fluids and getting it prepared and ready and comfortable with eating. This moment is the important moment. This is the danger moment. People are watching it, and I will go into it and see what the live comments would be, and people are like, oh my God, this is the moment he's gonna pass, this is the moment he's gonna die, this is the moment it's gonna happen. No, guys, the moment where it can happen, contrary to what you might think, is actually when he starts eating. The starting the eating is not the thing that's going to save him. It's the danger part. It's the part where it's going to be much more difficult for him, and he has to be very focused and understand what he needs to do. This is one of the biggest reasons why I do not push at all for any prolonged fasting. I actually don't push for anything past 48 hours. Once you go past 48 hours, to me, there's really no necessity for it. There's diminishing returns. Yes, you're continuing to burn body fat, but remember, just because of a reduction in adipose tissue does not necessarily mean that you are healthy. There are elements of health from that, but that is not the only marker of health. Losing weight is not the only marker of health. There is a malnutrition element, which is very dangerous, especially when you refeed for prolonged fasting. So you have to be very careful. That's why intermittent fasting is that happy medium where you get those benefits of burning body fat, being in that metabolic switchover, improving insulin sensitivity, HGH increase. You're getting all of those elements, but at the same time, you're eating well within the time where you'll be going into this kind of area where the refeeding may cause issues. So I just wanted to talk about the entire process. He went through the entire 40 days. He appeared to be fine the entire time. The last video that I watched of him, or the last moments that I watched